Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, family. What's happening? It is 3 minutes past the hour. Yours truly, Joe Dupree, in the building, along with my girl Jax, brother Fatim. You know, Jax is the life strategist, the art therapist, the speaker, the author, brother Fatim. You know him from the online, open line, online, all that good stuff. And keeping it real with Reverend Al Sharpton, WBLS in New York City. My brother from another mother, brother Fatim. Good morning, y'all. How y'all doing this morning?
What's up? Look, I am doing so well this morning. God is good. I was up early, made sure I got my husband's breakfast cooked up and lunch packed up. And then I said, you know what? Let's read some scripture. So while my husband was on his way to work, we read Proverbs. So I was able to read some scripture while he was driving. And then I laid my fat butt down and started working out. And then I got on my bike. It was riding my stationary bike. So I only did 2 miles, but I'm just trying to get my life right.
Hey. Right? Like gotta start somewhere. That's right.
Yeah. It took me like 6 minutes. I knocked out 2 miles, and then I did like the kettlebell and a bunch of other stuff. So, do what it do. I had my high school reunion, y'all.
How was that?
You know what? It was so surreal. For whatever reason, like I've gone before with my children, but being there now with my son, and my son potentially, he wants to apply there next year, was just unbelievable. Like walking around campus and he's meeting, different people, and it was just exciting. And then I walked down the Hall of Fame hallway because Luol Deng, Charlie Villanueva, a bunch of guys that play for the Baltimore Ravens, they all went to my school. And I looked down the hallway, and whose name is on the wall? Your girl. 1994 spring track captain. So I am etched in stone in 2 different places on my campus. So it's pretty dope. And especially for my kids to see that as well. So it was a good
That's what I'm talking about. I'm trying to figure out why Fatim wearing the losers jersey. Ooh. I'm trying. Dallas lost last night. They lost.
This is football, baby. This is football.
Oh, okay.
This is football.
They the real losers because they won since '94. So
yeah. Okay.
Look, that the guest that we had on before, Badia Farah, the one that's on Broadway in Hell's Kitchen, her husband played for the Dallas Cowboys, Al Shaman Singleton, number 51. So big support.
Thank you, but I'm still not taken back for this fat butt you just said. You called yourself fat.
and they wasn't winning then.
Yeah, don't. I ain't going down that road today. So
Yeah.
First of all, let me just say good morning to everybody. And you got me going, Jax. You know, I tell you, you said fat butt.
I mean, like not fat butt, but you know what I'm saying?
I know what you mean. I know, but you know, it's good. And you got me up early this morning. You know who that is. Yeah, that's your yeah. I'm always prepared. Don't think I'm not prepared. I'm prepared for our special guest this morning. But you know, let me just say this. Glad you got to do that reunion, because that's so, you know, it brings back so many memories. Yeah. And you know, again, I haven't done one of those reunions in years. But Jax, you didn't save me, but you pulled my coat over something. So this week, of course, I went to this called what, La Dena in Blanc, or a white party in Florence, South Carolina. And it was good. And you know, Jackson Joe know I'm deep undercover on some things, right? And Jack said, Fatine, if you deep undercover, certain things you can't expose in the sense of singing certain songs, trying to sing certain songs. I ain't got no voice. You know what I'm saying? Why do you know the word? Well, you know, some of these songs are just catchy, you know, so you tend to know them, you know. Even if you wasn't born during that time.
Okay.
If you wasn't born, it's just that just a catchy song, you know. But I had a good time out there with my cousins and everything. And you know, I'll say this, and you know, this is no disrespect. Our sisters are beautiful. And I don't even want to say someone naked out there, because they wasn't. I mean, showing a little bit of flesh that's what it's part of. But I said to my cousin, I said, it don't look like a lot of these sisters down here are missing them butter beans.
They're missing them meals. They ain't skipping meals.
A couple. And the reason why I said meals. They're not. And you know, my thing is, I can appreciate my sisters, but what I'm saying, and my brothers, I'm talking again. I'm just saying what I saw. And if you have to compare the men and the women, and I'm not here to criticize, but what I'm saying is, I'm looking at health-wise. And there's one thing to be big and toned and healthy. That's the difference. There is a difference. Some people are big structure, big bone, and everybody ain't gonna be a size 4. And you know, and what's her name? Monique talked about that, you know, and I agree with that. But I just think that we just need to be a little bit more health conscious on what we do and how we do it. And that's all I'm gonna say on that, because we talk about that there.
Well, wait, Fatine, it's funny, Fatine. I saw something recently, and they said, when was the last time you saw a skeleton with big bones?
Oh God, you crazy. There you go. And then yeah, and you're right. But I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole today, because you know, we talk about nutrition and this, that, and the other. But I think we do need to talk about folks and bring some folks that are health conscious, that are a variety of sizes, because I think we tend to think that being skinny, like one of my cousins is slim and has hypertension. So you see how I'm saying? You have to know. And I think we stereotype and look at a certain body shape and a body type, and then we stereotype and we criticize, and it's not fair to do that, because they could be more healthier than the person that you look at that is slim. So we got to be careful about that. So that's what a conversation. But real quick, Joe and Jax, me and Eddie Bonnet had a brief conversation, because I was at the white party. I was trying to tell him he was at the white party. Was you sipping that wine, Eddie, that Saturday? I was trying to tell you I was at the damn party, dude. I'm out there trying to dance and get my groove on these sisters out here, brother. Sorry, Casey. Good morning, Casey. Beautiful.
Oh, she knows.
Hey, but I was she saw me out there partying. But anyway, you know, I was having a conversation, and he presented something, and I don't want to get into it now. Let Joe drive this ship this morning. But he asked, what if we all went over to the Republican Party, right? And right there, it finally hit me. And Joe, you talk about we can have different opinions, and we can. But I jotted down, we can have different opinions, but we got to have the knowledge and understanding to form these opinions. And this is not, but Eddie, you made me think that a lot of people form their opinions, but they don't understand the task at hand. And if you don't understand the task at hand, Just like Florida Representative Donalds, Donalds basically talked about Jim Crow and the families being together and this, that, and other. Understanding that Jim Crow had nothing good about it. I don't want to even use that. So you got to understand the task at hand. Before you even talk about putting all your eggs in one party, you got to understand the political structure, what goes on in this system, and how we can do better. But just to say, oh, well, let's just do this. It's like you throwing things, whatever you think of, you just throw on the wall, and there's no real conscious thinking at it. And that's why I'm saying sometimes I go hard at our opinions, because how we come at these opinions, we just don't have the basic simple knowledge to understand that A and B does not equal C and D. It's just not congruent, man. So you gotta, a lot of people have these opinions, but you lack the knowledge to form a proper opinion on certain things.
I like to say good morning to everybody that's in the chat. I see Douglas Guidry in the chat. I see Shay is in the chat. I see Brother Malasson is in the chat. Brother Tim, good to see you, my friend. Sister Rhonda is in the chat, just to name a few. Listen, now I'm gonna say this to y'all, because y'all don't know how bad I was feeling last night. Oh. If you out here in these streets, in these hot streets, man, hydrate yourself. Hydrate yourself. It's easy to get a heat stroke. It's easy to get terribly sick real quick. And I mean, bro, this heat out here ain't playing. This ain't no play heat. This is the type heat to take people out. So, you know, I'm very fortunate that I'm feeling much better this morning. And as the day goes on, it seems to be I'm good. But I just want to tell y'all, because you be sitting out there thinking you okay. And the next thing you know, you be out on the ground. You be laid out, completely out. So be careful if you're out here in these hot streets.
I like that ebonics that you just used. You know, we haven't used that word, but it's words that we create. Play, po. It's amazing. Right. You know what I'm saying? We understand what it means. Play, po. What was the po? You know who the po is? I mean, Medea made that popular. I'm running from the po. But I'm serious about how, and my man Charles Barron, oh boy, you talk about him coming on this show and lighting it up. Brother came in our studio, and Brother Mtume and them went at it, because he wanted to create this whole thing about ebonics, a language that we have as Black people. And Mtume was like, I got this about slang and I'm cool, but we got to be very careful about trying to create a slang as a language. You understand what I'm saying? We got to be very careful. I'm not saying you can't do it, because there's different dialects of different languages in Africa and across the country. You got to realize that a lot of people don't realize that Yiddish, that some Jewish people speak, is not Hebrew. It's not Hebrew. Right. You understand what I'm saying? So people got to understand that's what I'm saying. You got to understand the meaning of words, not just the meaning, but the etymology, the root of the word. Where does the word come from? So I'll let you get back to driving this bus, this play bus, before the popo comes to us. Yeah. Right.
It's 15 minutes past the hour. And in the news, a few things in the news, of course. Boston Celtics are up 2-0 against Dallas Mavericks. I don't know. They seem to be not the Dallas anything right now. They just getting straight done. That's in sports news. In political news, our former president is virtually meeting with his probation officer today to find out, how this thing goes with probation. I wonder how that go. How they gonna be if you the probation officer to the former president? Because I know probation officers. I know them personally. Probation officers are funny to me. Yeah. And I wonder how that's gonna work out. I can hear it right now. Well, let me talk to you for a minute. No, I need to know where you been, who you been hanging around. Have you been hanging around any other fellas?
Exactly. Exactly.
And look,
the state hired me to speak at his graduation from probation, like I just spoke at the other graduation from probation. Maybe, what do y'all think? Maybe I need to become a vendor in the state of New York. So when he graduates, if he graduates from probation,
he need to be on the Jax train. That's what I'm saying. Speaking about the Jax train, I got a beautiful text message in the middle of my sickness last night, because I was sick last night. I was literally just out of it. But in the middle of that, A+ sent me a text message. Oh. He sent me a text message. and it's brightened my spirits. It brightened my spirits, and I told him much love, and I told him live long and prosper. That's my dude. That's my. We're gonna have to bring that young man back on here. But Jax, it was very, 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 very instrumental that you brought that young man on with him just getting out of incarceration, and that we were able to be a blessing to him in words and deeds, and just letting him know that he wasn't alone. Because many a times our young black men, they don't know that they're not alone, and we got to show them that we're there with them, just more than just lip service. We got to show them that we're with them. And Tim is on here. Tim said probation. Wait a minute, why does this keep doing this? Oh, so I got an alarm.
I can read it. Probation with 35 counts of felonies would never happen for us blacks. We would be in prison. And Timothy also wrote, my grandfather always said everyone has an opinion like buttholes, but do we truly have a real plan for one another to strive and survive? And you're right, brother. You know, we all can have opinions, and, you know, we debate them and this, that, and other. But I just was thinking about that today. And, you know, it's like, we can have opinions, but how do we get to those opinions? And, you know, bottom line is we have opinions, and that's what critical thinking, that's where how we have critical thinking and critical conversation. But you have to be armed with the tools. I'm telling you, I've been part of some I haven't been, I've attended some debates. I've been on programs with the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and other folks back in the day with Phil Donahue, Oprah Winfrey. I've been on those platforms and watched some of our brilliant brothers and sisters have conversation and take some strong questions. And they were armed with knowledge, y'all. You just don't go out there and put yourself in a forum and don't understand. That's why sometimes I have to come back and say, you know what? I said something, I was not correct on this, or because I when I say something, I'm not married to that, because sometimes I may not have the full understanding or knowledge of it. So I'm just telling folks, we come to these opinions and we want to argue this on, you know, personality, you know, and appearance, but is it on personality, appearance, or is it based on facts and knowledge?
Yeah.
Well, and what you're saying, and let me go to Jackson on this one. This is the crazy thing. You said that Brother Eddie brought up to you, and I know we got a guest coming up around another 15 minutes, but here's the question. And I say this, I believe Brother Eddie is immersed in the conservative Republican Party due to their stance on evangelicalism. I mean, at the end of the day, it's where the Republican Party stands on the issues that he feels his spirituality and his religion is more close to. You know, they believe in no abortion. They believe in no drag queen story time. And we're in the middle of Pride Month, and we need to, you know, and sometimes you got to recognize these months, even though you might not agree with these months, because I feel like there's people out there that don't agree with Black History Month, but you better recognize it. It is what it is, you know, and there's a lot of things in the party that resonates with him. I see that resonating with a lot of folks. Even though I am a Democrat, I am not a moderate Democrat. I am not a progressive Democrat. I am more of a conservative Democrat. And I get how that can happen. But at the end of the day, when you see this craziness that we're seeing right here, this is some craziness. And that we may wake up on November the 6th with a convicted felon as our president of the United States of America. That lets me know scriptures are true and everything that went to a hell in a handbasket. If I wake up on November the 6th and Donald Trump is announced the winner of the presidential election, I know the scriptures are true and he's coming. He's coming. If you don't get yourself ready because Jesus is coming, he coming. He coming.
And you know what? Jesus still gonna come whether he gets in or not. So we know
right.
Because right now it's like 49% to 50%. Like it's a very close margin. So we definitely have to be ready. And I just want to backtrack for a quick sec, Joe. I'm so sorry you weren't feeling well last night. Much love, much prayers for continued, good health and hydration. Also big ups to Antoine. Yes, good. And big ups to Antoine, as you call him A+ or A+1?
Mm-hmm.
A+. Yes.
A+.
Yep, A+. So I communicated with him a lot over the weekend. He's doing well. I sent him some stuff. We talked about scripture. And I'm just proud of him and pray that he stays on the right path and doesn't get swayed easily. So I'm gonna put his email. I went back the other day and put it in the chat after he created one. I'm gonna post his email in the chat again now. And his name is Antoine, for those of you that want to post. So I just put it in the chat, +1@icloud.com. And also, it's funny what you're saying about Pride Month and stuff, right? So when I was at my 30th reunion, they were talking about, how there's in college, there's some co-ed dorms and co-ed shower time and, things of that nature, right? So it's so fascinating because I was saying, like, I can't imagine with my daughter preparing for college, not this school year, she'll go into 12th grade. But when the following year, when she goes to college, I can't imagine my small little daughter going into the shower and there's a man that identifies as a woman and is big as my dad, 6 foot plus, 240 pounds or whatever, but has on a wig or grew his hair out and has his nails on and feels that it's okay for him to go in the shower. And my daughter is standing right next to what looks like my dad, in the shower. So I don't know, that kind of makes me feel a little, uncomfortable. But anything could happen at any point. I mean, but it's still, scary to me.
Let me comment on that. So it's interesting because it's how we had or how we operated under morals and ethics in the past. Mm-hmm. So one of the things, my mother never mentioned it, but I figured it out. When she found out that my school was mostly boys at first, I mean, they had changed maybe 3 years before I went there. She was concerned. I don't want you going to that school, and but I wasn't going to some school that didn't have sports, and Westinghouse had. But I understood her concern. Then when I was picking my dorm for college, I was like, should I go in the all guy? No, you ain't going to no all guy. You going to co-ed dorm. You understand? So I went into the co-ed dorm and I agreed with her. I didn't need to be all around men all the time. I need some feminine energy, and y'all know how I roll, but I need some feminine energy around. I can't see a guy all the time. I got to see some. I just got tired on my side. I just went in the middle hallway. Well, I went on the female side and hung with the females. I needed that. But the point is that on the weekends, a lot of people went home and a lot of our girls stayed with us. And sometimes they didn't walk onto the other side. Mm-hmm. But what we did is we made it clear that the bathroom was clear, so no male. So the female would utilize the bathroom or have to take a quick shower. We got them covered. We just didn't send them in there like that. So we operated with that kind of respect. So you're right. I don't agree with, we take these things for our jobs, mm-hmm. these things. Mm-hmm. I have my opinion. I don't discriminate, but I have my opinion. And I agree. I have 2 daughters and I feel the same way you, Jackson. Ain't nobody in hell gonna tell me that how I feel, that because somebody born a female feels like they're gonna be a man or vice versa and gonna be around my daughters in the bathroom, but you're a man and you got male parts and that's just not cool. You understand? That's just not cool. If that's, understand? If there's bathrooms that are set up and people want to designate that separate, then they can do that if they do that. But I don't agree with that whole philosophy. And just one more quick thing in the news because this bothered me. Mm-hmm. So yes, in the October 7th attack of Hamas on Israel and the hostages that were taken, some have been killed and there was a rescue. There was a rescue over the weekend, and 4 hostages was rescued. And it's amazing that some of the Jewish folks, you don't talk about the hostages, right? But you don't talk about that they and thank God that they were saved or rescued.
Amen.
But you don't talk about the 260 innocent Palestinians that were slaughtered and killed in that operation. Almost 700 wounded, over 700 wounded, and you try to justify this. It's just like somebody kidnapping my child, take them in a house. I go and not only kill everybody in that house, I go kill everybody in the damn building. And then stay back and say it was justified because they shouldn't have taken our people. I'm telling you, is when you put yourself above someone else and then you call yourself people or God, I'll tell you, It's Fatin saying, it's not Joe, it's not Jack. Hell no, you're not a people of God. Not living that kind of lifestyle like that. You are not people of God like that. You understand? I can understand you defending yourself because there's wars and there's death in the Bible. And I'm not going to sit here and say that there comes a time when there's war and there's going to be killing. But there comes a time when you can operate out of common sense. But when you are trying to eradicate and exterminate a group of people because you want something, God's gonna get your ass. That's all.
I mean, brother Fatim, you got a great point. You know, I'm looking right now as I keep on looking over the screen. You know, this weekend, the Christians, the evangelicals came out with a song that said that Trump was chosen by God to be president. At his rallies, they are comparing him to Jesus. Jesus. Come on, family. Come on, family. If that's not blasphemy, I don't know what is. Come on now.
I think Jesus would know how to hold a Bible right side up instead of upside down.
Well, you know, and it's crazy. And let's just be honest. And since some folk in the chat seem to want to get political, this election cycle will probably be determined by two groups of people. Well, really three: women, Latinos, and African Americans. How that vote sways will probably determine who winds up in the White House. Women, Latinos, and African Americans.
I think Muslim and Arab Americans also going to play a bit in certain swing states like Michigan. They're going to play a bigger role this year than they might have in the past.
So you know,
this Israeli war.
And you know, when you put all that together, I mean, y'all get ready. Wake up on November. I'm telling you, I feel like it's a loss either way it goes. But if you wake up on November the 6th and former President Trump is the president of the United States of America, y'all get ready for 4 years of bedlam, straight bedlam, and straight bedlam. When I say straight bedlam, oh my God, get ready for 4 years of straight bedlam. And speaking of which,
wait, hold on a minute, real quick.
I want to leave all that alone because I see in the green room, the catch is in the green room. So go ahead and say what you need to say. Real
quick. I woke up with this on my heart this morning and I thought about it. And, you know, the optics is just not good with Biden. And when we watch this debate, I'm not sitting here fooling myself. I'm not happy with how the Democratic Party is rolling.
Ooh, come on.
I think we would be in a better position. I mean, it's the lesser two evils, and I call it what it is. I know what the Biden administration has done and that we've benefited from. And I got that and I understand it. But the optics are horrible. And is it getting worse on Joe Biden? And we can say what we want to say. You can try to sell us on this. You know who I produce for, and we have our opinion. But I am not happy how the Democratic Party, we can do better. The candidates, both candidates, we could have had better candidates. It should have been a primary out there in the Democratic Party. And the best person should have been moved forward. But we're playing politics. I know we got a black vice president, and I know we support her and this, that, and the other, but I still wanted the best candidates out there for us to move forward in this damn country. You think Joe Biden, I hate to say this, I got to be very careful, but the optics just not saying 4 more years. I just don't understand how this is going to work, and I'm not here to play with myself. Sorry.
Well, Coach was in the green room and she left out the green room. So we'll wait till she comes back in the green room. But while you're talking about that, let me say this, and I'm going to pass it over to Jax. I am so disturbed about where is Vice President with her charismatic self, Kamala Harris. Where is the Vice President? Where is the Vice President, Kamala Harris? Man, I mean, this lady is all that in a bag of chips. And she's like, she's MIA. She's missing in action. You don't see Kamala nowhere. You don't hear about Kamala.
That's not true, Joe. Be careful. Be careful, Joe. She's out there. She's out there on the reproductive rights. She's been out there on reproductive rights. She's been out there on the LGBTQ. When those things come out of attack, President Biden dispatched her. She's been to Florida. She's been across the country on all these issues. She gets a couple of minutes in the news. You're looking for her to get press conferences and things like that. And that's the news media and that's the Biden administration. But she does show up. So we have to be careful of that.
Well, when I say that, Brother Fatim, and I say it from this point of view, where the average American the average American says, "Where is the vice president?"
Mhm.
That's what the average American is saying. Speaking of which, introduce Coach, where I can bring her in out the back. I'm gonna bring her in. Go ahead, introduce
All
Coach
right.
Jack.
We're about to bring in Coach Lena, my girl. She's the pepper to my salt. So I'm just gonna read a bit of her bio. Coach Lena, 2024 NAACP Image Award winner, 2024 Boy Scouts of America Award winner, and 2024 Vulcan Pioneers Community Leadership Award winner. Positive. She just released a positive affirmations album. I was listening to it last night, y'all. I'll make sure I put it in the chat. It's fire. So make sure you go on YouTube or other streaming platforms and check it out. She's the founder of Sharpen Minds World nonprofit, founder of Girls vs. World. She's a philanthropist, over 500,000 back into underserved communities. She deals with curriculum development. She's a social worker for 19 years for the state of New Jersey. She is the first Black person to win Citizen of the Year proclamation, New Brunswick Elks, number 324. She's a radio personality, songwriter, and children's author. So bring in my girl, Coach Lena. Woo, 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 woo. What's up, boo?
I had to look at that bio and kind of shake my head and say, "Who's that?"
Yes,
What up, Coach?
That's you,
What
my
up, Coach?
sister. That's you, my sister. You got 3 pages over here, but I got, girl,
wow.
3 pages.
What
Oh
up,
my
Coach?
goodness.
Yes.
How are
yes.
you guys doing early in the morning? Got me up early talking about the right stuff to do in life. I love y'all conversation. What you guys
Come
are
on.
doing?
Thank
Come
Love
on.
it.
Come
Thank
on.
you.
Come on.
So let's dig in, Coach. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how you got started, about some ball playing. Tell us about some stuff in your life, and then let's move forward. Go ahead.
Y'all gonna be here forever in a day if I had to tell y'all. So I'm gonna give y'all the condensed version. So I'll start. So you might make no mistake, I'm a female women's basketball player, former professional college player. I played at West Virginia. I've been playing basketball all my life, and like I said, it kind of changed me to where I am today. Basketball is a wonderful thing. I know you guys heard about the WNBA and how they're, Caitlin Clark and my girl Angel Reese are kicking butt, and all the women, they're just doing a phenomenal job. I came back in the day, Cheryl Swoops was my host at the combine when I tried out for the teams and everything when I was leaving from college. And I really had no plan after I left college. I did go to a major school. I played in the Big East. I loved it. I loved what it exposed me to. And it was really hard work. But in my day when I played, I left, my last season was 2001, 2002. I left with a master's degree at West Virginia University because in the Whitehead household, my mom, education was at the top of the totem pole where we were. So, I come from that background where education is paramount, and it just kind of guided me through school where it was expected of me to get a diploma. So after I played basketball, I was fortunate enough to play a few more years with basketball. But I think I call those the further development years. The WNBA was just pretty much forming, and they had their superstars. You know what I mean? It was between the women going back and forth between. Hold on, they want me to turn my camera, but I'm not so savvy. I'll tell you that one thing. Hold on.
If you turn it, and if you don't have the setting properly, it won't turn. But turn it and see if it'll make you full.
Right. I think I got it. Let's see if it does what it does for me. Let's see.
There you go.
Yeah,
about
there
now?
you
Better?
go. There you go.
I know something. Well, all right, let me get back. Okay, my condensed story. Basketball, for every young girl listening out here, is a great stepping stone, and it'll get you to college. It'll get you wellness. It'll get you where, meeting people where it means something. You know what I mean? And that's what was important to me. As long as I could remember, I was always the spokesperson for my team. Go figure, right? Talking. And I just didn't mind being in the front to just, describe what my team was doing or my coach's strategy. So I really did love basketball. And after I finished playing basketball, I didn't recognize that the payment was going to be. So you hear a lot of women talking about that now, the disparaging amounts that women get paid compared to men in the professional league. Well, I ain't gonna say the amount, but it was just more feasible for me to go work with my degree and
Come
get
on.
on out there in the work field and further develop my career. You know what I mean? And it took a minute for me to understand that, but I remember going back to my family's household, Gail's household, was to further develop education. I don't care what you do. Basketball will get you around the world and get you to see these places, but they can never take your education. Not to mention, I was plagued by so many injuries, ACL tears that women go into today. I'm proud to say it's 40. My feet don't work like they should, and I do a lot of agility and training things. But basketball, I mean, I loved it for what it's worth. I love those girls out there on the floor kicking it today, playing hard. There used to be a line of guys in my neighborhood to try to play me, and it made me the leader who I am in my community today. It was the foundation being set by basketball. So big shout out to the NCAA, West Virginia, and all those people and women that paved the way for us, which I was one of those pioneers now that I can look back. So go ahead, ladies, do what you do.
Yes.
So
And
that was my basketball.
yes, now Coach Lena, could you tell us about that Fire album? Tell us about that and the makings of that Fire album.
Sure. Okay, so you guys, I will go on because I'll miss the big step between basketball. I went on, like I said, and worked at the state of New Jersey. I'm celebrating my 19th year here, and I'm so excited. And I have been a life coach since being a social worker because it's really out of the box. For the last 8 years, I've celebrated Sharpen Minds life coaching practice, and we've been able to build. So, as a part of our curriculum and building curriculum, positive affirmations has just been something all of us need to hear. I love the music that's going on, but I've always been a fan of smooth jazz, neo soul, and hip hop, right? I'm a hip hop historian, if anybody knows me. All of my curriculum that I write with classes and to engage the kids, it's really hip hop based. So we got onto this album, Here I Am. We started it last year. I wrote it. I had the creative idea. It's just something that came to me. We had a class called Inspire, where the young kids inspiring me once again, had a class where we are social change through music, keeping kids off the streets and just further developing that. And I said, I would be a fool not to take my own advice. So I started getting into the booth, working with the producers. And I was like, let me stay. Coach Lena is going to stay in her lane this time. I'm not going to rap. I'm not going to sing. I'm going to do something that the world needs. And I was kind of a little skeptical at first, you know what I mean? But I've been my own boss for a lot of time, as you know, Jax, and I've definitely been a spearhead. So everybody was like, go ahead and do it. So I did it. And it is something that I am so proud of. I wish you guys could hear that. It's just a ride along album full of positivity, which we need in the world today. It's neo soul, smooth jazz, hip hop inspired. It's words that's going to keep you going forward. It's trending. Get your coach out there. Like I said, you guys, this music is heartfelt. It's something that you need right now in your life. You can listen to it with your mom, respectable people, clergy, teachers. I wanted to listen to this with my mother. So it ain't one curse word on that album. And can you believe that? Not one curse. You can play it through the church. And that's I mean, it's just healing music. It's forward thinking. I want you guys, your audience, to listen to this song called Brother. It is so heartfelt. It's about a Black woman's interpretation of what we think brothers needed. Because I've been a social worker and I've assessed. So all this work, I've done the homework for my album. I have some deep thoughts, and I always go around asking people what they like and just getting what they like out of life. And just, so this album is just full of that. It's full of heartwarming feels. It's full of, I can do something. I can change the world. I am worthy, never make choices out of desperation. Words like that keep people going, and it's just, I got my girl Karen Young on there, soulful, Ty Jack, up and coming R&B vocalist extraordinaire, just won a music award in the area. Just a lot of up and coming people. You could ride out that song "Forgive Me" that you like. Man, that's gonna be the jam of the summer. They told me.
Yes,
And my crew, my Sharpen Minds crew.
Yes, yes. And thank you so much, Lena.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I put the album in the chat. I posted it twice, so you guys can go on YouTube and listen to it. It's a phenomenal album. Yes, guys. So make sure you check it out.
So, Coach, I got to say this. You brought up Cheryl Swoops. I know Coach Chandler personally. I knew Kim Peratt. I know Kim Peratt. Well, I knew Kim Peratt. I know her sister personally. You mentioned Angel Reese. Of course, I am in Louisiana, so I have. She's no longer the Bayou Barbie, but I followed her time at LSU. But it was people like you who opened up those doors. And like you said, right now, a lot of folks are talking because of Caitlin Clark. But it is the road that was paved by the Coach Lenas and those that came before Coach Lena that opened up these doors. And like you said, there's always been this disparity. I've never understood the disparity. I understood numbers, and I knew that there was more folks showing up for NBA games than there were WNBA games. But I see that is now changing, especially with the NIL. You never experienced the NIL. I think that was very wrong back in your days, that they never gave y'all the opportunity to do NIL. So talk to me about that. How do you feel now that NIL is in place and things of that nature, and the pavement of getting these doors opening for these young women to now start being multimillionaires and big timers in the basketball game?
So of course you had to ask me this question, and I think it's great because we walked so they could run, you know what I mean? And I think that it was going to be a time when the WNBA did things. Women are doing phenomenal things as we are continuing to lead in business, in science, in pharma, especially Black women, in wellness, in health, mental health. And we are all starting to build those blocks. I believe that the WNBA will continue to be pivotal in that. And I think that the world just got to have, like I coach my clients to have a aha moment. The world just had an aha moment. These women look good out here playing. They are health conscious. They're having children. They're getting degrees. We are continuing to do things that we always have been doing, but now the world is just hip to something. So just like anything, I don't think it's a fad. I think the NIL is definitely a great addition to women's basketball. Any further platform, because when I was playing, it was basically AAU was the top, and big shout out to the AAU league and what it's done for women. I had the opportunity to play on national AAU teams and through all of that. So as the higher stakes get made for women in professional to be paid that money. Now, I do think it's going to take a minute for women to be paid, but now when I was in college, you know, those deals are able. If we were able to do that, you know, it will change the tone for a lot of people. It will give more incentive, I believe. So I think definitely I know I would have been doing more than I had to do, because if I had hindsight, it's 2020. But if that was provided to us, and I was a part of the Student Athletic Council for the Big East, I loved being a part of that. So I can also say we were pivotal in making those strides and getting those policies passed back in the 90s and 2000s, early 2000s. So it's a big win for all of us now. You know what I mean? Especially college sports, getting the right people at the right times for those universities. They make billions and trillions, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, first of all, you know, like I said, I have 3 pages here, and I never really, I mean, I put little guideline things down, but I going against the grain, because I learned from my late brother, the Grammy Award winning musician, and he was my talk show host for 20 years, James Mtume. He was like, Fatin, I don't prepare. I go from here. I go from my heart. And just, you know, when
Are
Sister
you talking
Jax,
about from Juicy Fruit?
Juicy Fruit. I worked for Mtume
Mr.
for over
Mtume?
25 years on open line on WBLS. First, we was at Kiss FM in New York, and then, of course, we went over to WBLS. So I've been with him. He did, of course, you said it, Mr. Mtume, Juicy Fruit, and then New York Undercover, and Miles Davis, Roberta Flack, all that. That's Mtume, you know. So he's always said, Fatin, I come from my heart. I don't prepare. I read, and I make sure I'm knowledgeable on certain things. But there's certain people that when you come into the contact with them, You feel their spirit. And when you feel their spirit, you go on. And even though there's some questions here that I will eventually present to you because you've done a lot. The first thing that I think of, just listening to you respond, you're welcome, was Love and Basketball. I just thought about Love and Basketball and how Love and Basketball developed from two folks, a male and a female, Omar Epps and Sanaa Lathan, playing the actor and actress in that movie, basically loving the game of basketball, but realizing that the game of basketball, anything can happen in life. So that basketball, if it can become your career, that's beautiful. And you can build something out of that. But what happens if you get injured? Or what happens if you don't get drafted? Where does your life take you? And I'm looking at you, that you've been blessed to be able to do something that you love, but you also springboard and also created other things that help other people. So I've seen your Sharpen Minds World Nonprofit and things like that. But I go back to the first time, because I also produced for Reverend Al Sharpton, and folks don't know, I produced on TV One. I produced his first barbershop show. And I remember when we got Lisa Leslie to come in. And then you got to realize playing for the New York Liberty at that particular time was Teresa Weatherspoon. And I look back at our sisters back then. There was there you go. There was a consciousness. There's a consciousness that was with our sisters that they brought from their community, they brought from their family, or they became more conscious as they started to live their life. You got to realize a lot of us that went to D1 schools, that were mixed schools, we don't talk about it a lot of times, but we went through trials and tribulations. We went through racism. We went through different things that we don't talk about a lot. You understand? But we understand when Colin Kaepernick did what he did as an NFL ball player, as you being a former WNBA ball player, you understand that. When the NBA wore Breonna Taylor on their shirts, you understood that because you come from that. You understand? So that's why I said I had to come from my soul, because right there, I had to just to take a moment. And Jax, you know, I know Sister Jax, and then when she put your information in our chat yesterday, and I went over it this morning, I was like, wow, you wear many, many hats. But I just first had to commend you, my sister. I think of Black History Month, I think of Women History Month in March, and then I think of Black Women History Month in April. People don't even know there's a Black Women's History Month. And you are a combination of all three of them. So even though we're in Black Music Month today and you have an album, you fit all those dynamics right there. So I have to say that to you. And that's where I want to give you your flowers. But I will throw you this question that I did put down. There's a lot of questions here, but I'll start with you. Can you share a moment when you saw your work with Sharpen Minds World Nonprofit make a significant difference in someone's life?
Well, thank you so much for that, those words of encouragement, because sometimes you need to hear that, because I really have been paving and doing what I do, and it comes from the heart. And I'm glad you said one important thing. It comes from the heart, and my energy is what is continuously keeps me going. It is like people say, I'm a ray of sun sometimes, and I don't like to use that, but we need that sometimes to cover us in these dark times and through these tunnels and where we're going in life. And as I get older and wiser, you know, I like to see, I even go back to speak to my mom about some of these foundations and see where the hardcore foundation came from. And it's really from my mother and all the Black women in the community that started these things. And with my education, I've been able to further develop what they started in the community. So everything was grassroots, but I really do appreciate it because it just came from my aunts, my mothers, the women, Miss Johnson in the community, those tight-knit communities. And it just brings me back. That's why I bring myself back to my community in New Brunswick, where I'm from. And I always try to get involved in the local community, things that are happening there. Not everything on a larger scale, but that's what's been able. My mantra is we rise by lifting others. So in doing that, you will raise yourself and you don't have to do it. I didn't know that I was going to be winning all these awards. I just know the foundation of sports, home, and family were in my heart, and that's what we do. So Sharpen Minds made an impact when I was able to go. We really made a significant impact. Big shout outs to my mentor who has been doing this for 20 years, Gina Bowser and the Zaki Bowser Foundation. They really were pivotal Black women in our community. Unfortunately, she had a tragedy that allowed her to go forward and have First Baptist Church with Honorable, Reverend DeForest Soares or Buster Soares.
I know
And
Buster Soares.
she
I
had
met him
lost
through
her
him
son
too, man.
tragically.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Right. So he has been a fixture in our community, and coincidentally, offered me my first job as I was playing basketball and everything. And he just knew I had such leadership skills, and he's since invited me back to join his board and all of his great things that he's doing in the community. So, like I said, I'm just in front of a great bunch of mentors, and people kind of paved the way in my area. There wasn't a lot to do because I didn't know how they did it. But over the pandemic, I know that when a lot of other big name agencies weren't able to do this work, my agency was able to get out there, and we essentially had to turn into a 501 C3 because we were just going off of our my life coaching practice, which is to encourage and empower our people through self-esteem and be a safety net in the Black community. As I've worked in social work for a lot of years and found out there's a lot of different emergent needs that aren't touched in our community. That's for another show. But Sharpen Minds really, I can go on, I'm telling you. Sharpen Minds really had an impact when we did something called Operation Uplift the Community. And hold on one second. Okay. Operation Uplift the Community. And we were able to put back and give first responders and the school systems, you know how they were having lunch at noon and they weren't able to go and get the lunch, but the programs were still providing parents and guardians with lunch for the kids to pick up for the week. So we were able to get donations and an outpouring of support from the local Walmart and Amazon. And big shout out to my director of community outreach. I could not do this on my own. So we said we wanted to do something in the community, and we wrote this donation letter, and we were talking about the efforts that we were doing, putting money out of our own pocket. Well, long and behold, I wrote this letter, and just like you're all in, they were all in, but we didn't know that they were going to send us 23 pallets of overstock. And when they did that, we had to jump into action. And all the people that I know, I said, this is not a drill. So I got to all these women leaders that I knew and people that had small businesses. And I said, this is how we're going to organize and help our community through these trying times. You know, during the pandemic, our community had so much to deal with, not knowing about it, special interests of other people's, just all the rumors and just so many different things that we wanted to make it a positive moment. Remember, Sharpen Minds, empowering our own communities. So we were able to get that back. And when we did that, we ended up doing that. I bought that storage 5 years ago today, 2 storages. And we have been able to put back between New Jersey and Miami through 5 initiatives over about $500,000 in items between New Jersey and Miami. So that's when I knew we had an impact. That's when I knew that you could literally go to the center of town, advertise through social media, find people that really knew, word of mouth, and see how many people were hurting. And they really did just come out and look for us in the community. It was all positive vibes. I couldn't believe it. I think my team and people that continue to work with us, volunteers, we were able to form 3 groups out of the pandemic when people were going through the most tough times. We were blessed to be able to uplift and give the community, and we've been doing it ever since. So that's how I knew we had such an impact.
Amen. No, you sure do. I mean, people love Sharpen Minds. So where do you see Sharpen Minds in the next 5 years? What are your ultimate goals in the next 5 years?
So I've learned to know that when you throw a goal or idea out like that, when people laugh, it's the best one. So when I said I was going to have an album out and people said, hey, what do you mean you're going to have an album? They laughed. So when they trickled, I said, I'm going to do it. And look at this album, trending, going on, just on all sites. It's just everything. So Sharpen Minds, I see us being in a building. I see us having a community, being a safe space and a safe place in our community for it's not too many, and I have no problem saying that, for the African American culture and community in Middlesex County. We have been, it's a wonderful town, melting pot with so many different, like my town that I live in is 73% Latino. I love doing things for the underserved community, re-entry initiatives, giving back. I just feel like we need a centralized place. So I see us being in a place. I see us taking these ideas and healing the world with this album, going from city to city, telling people about positive affirmations and how to further develop their youth and how to make them think through life skills, because we have so many different youth workshops and things that we're doing. I see Girl versus World being a pivotal group that continues coining ourselves sophisticated philanthropists, giving back and matching that $250,000 to $500,000 back into the community, just making us a worldwide, something that brown and Black girls could see as somebody to look up to. Everybody always says they don't want a role model. Well, I'm saying Coach Lena wants to be a role model for young Black girls, because it's hard out here. And I have no problem living my life the way I have, like a public figure. It's not so bad, you know what I mean? I take the good with the bad. I know I'm smart enough to know I have that foundation. God is, in control of all of this. And your goal in life is really to simply further develop yourself. Allah or God, whomever you pray to, does the rest. And I have no problem doing that.
And Elena, I love how you say the foundation, because the foundation is critical. When we first met years ago, we talked about, even we both have prep school backgrounds, right? And the foundation with education, right? And then also being a parent, your mom focused on education, just like, mine, right? And then, we've grown up.
Yes.
We talked a lot as kids. Now we get paid to actually talk, right? And to inspire people. Isn't it crazy? And to always give back to try.
How many times? Mm-hmm. How many times I got sent? I said, when I made my first money talking, I said, Mom, finally, you don't have to look at me and do this. Yeah. My mom, I come from the era my mother just lean in on you and look like that. My mom's not a big woman. I'm 6'2". I don't know if you guys know, and I'm the youngest of 6. So my mom, she could just look in. She could look in. My mother was right to the point. You know what I mean? And she just spoke to me. She was a Libra, just like myself. And my mom just spoke to me, just like I speak to children now. Today's I'm upfront and I tell them why, and I get them the information that they need, and I molded them to make the right decisions. Some decisions are right, some are wrong. But guess what? What James Brown say? Pay the cost to be the boss.
That's right.
That part, right there.
Forever. So you have, what else you got for me?
Well, it's interesting. I have a lot of questions, but I want to tie this in because you mentioned Black girls. And my question is, in the sense of you giving back, and how does your work help motivate and inspire Black girls? But I want to start with something here, because last week this happened where there was a decision on the Fearless Fund. The Fearless Fund is basically, let me just update the folks. The 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals decided that the Fearless Fund and capital funding supporting Black women-owned businesses cannot resume making grants. This ruling comes after an anti-affirmative action group led by conservative activist Edward Blum sued the program alleging discrimination. And the reason why I brought that up, because it's amazing that they tell us in this country as Black people, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Some of us don't even have boots to pull ourselves up by our damn bootstraps. You understand? That's number one. Then number two, when we create lanes, first of all, you look at Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street. When we create businesses and power structures for us, you destroy it. Do affirmative action. Even though Dr. King talked about that in 1963, he said in 1968, maybe I may have integrated my folks into a burning house. So when we do create lanes for ourselves to help people, but specifically help those that are like us, that are in poverty, don't receive a living wage, we live in check to check, and some folks go to bed hungry. They attack us there. So when we create vehicles like this, so I had to say all that to put that in the dynamic to present to you what keeps you motivated, because you're also a radio personality. And when I underlined that, I was like, that's why she can keep going, because she's also a radio personality. And I would like you to talk a little bit about your being a radio personality and a child's author, how all of this that you do inspires and motivate young folks. How do you leverage all of that? And talk a little bit about being a child's author and a radio personality, and how you touch different people, but how that inspires, especially Black girls, Black boys, all children, but specifically those in our community.
Well, I feel like, you know what, it's a part of who I am, because I always was taught that, you know, we have unique strengths as Black and brown people. So that's where the foundation comes from. I just know that I always had a lot of energy and a lot of insight. It was when I was like 5th grade, I was just telling people now, I would watch a movie and be able to creatively articulate that. And what happened is that it was welcomed in my household. I could think back to having spiral notebooks, you know, because remember, my mom, and I'm sure you guys are from this era, your mom used to say, "You bored?" And I was the queen, "I'm bored." So my mom said, "Go read a book," and really meant that. She said, "Go watch a show." So I read a book, and when I started reading a book, and not even to this, my uncles and family, my brother went to prison, fortunately and unfortunately, because he helped me do this work and see that there's two sides of the track. My oldest brother. So when I was young, my brother, about 9 years old. Can you imagine your brother asking you if you knew who an abolitionist was and who you kill for your people? Because he had just joined the Nation of Islam. So he was working at bringing something new into my life. So at 8 years old, going back and forth to state prisons, as we always did, to go see my young brother, which I found was a strength. I wasn't always so excited about telling people that. So that's why I was able to write these books and write these creative stories and get a voice for myself. Like Jack said, I went to private schools. I was facilitating meetings as I ran on Tuesdays and Thursdays at my school, the morning meetings for the entire school. So I was provided a lot of different outlets early on in life. And that's what I tell people: expose your kids to a variety of things. I literally came from the inner city of New Brunswick and Somerset, great foundation in my family, and taken to the suburbs of New Hope, Pennsylvania. It's where I was able to see so many different things and grow up in a town where I could be a kid and be creative. So I learned through the streets of New Hope creatively fashion. So fashion and writing and speaking to people have always been on the high list, anything creative. So when it came time, it was no brainer to write a children's book about me playing basketball, changing the community, and working together, just using all the people that have come into my life as learning lessons. And to be honest with you, I'm so blessed because they're still in my life. So taking that, going on from giving back, that's how it opened up my opportunity to be a radio personality. Big shout out to Fly Girl Diva down in Miami. The Fly Girl Diva, she was the first to have Coach come on her show during the pandemic to give tidbits and coaching tidbits to mothers and parents through the pandemic when education, was hard for us to get through. Imagine being a parent dealing, remember Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Well, we found out that a lot of our parents weren't smarter than a fifth grader, and we had to learn along with our kids. We had to learn patience. I mean, the patience of Job. We had to learn foundations, and all those things that I had these conversations to work with my mom just became a thing to talk about on the radio, just like you guys are doing now, bringing trending topics to an audience of people that may want to further develop themselves, being an example for these young kids that don't get to see brown faces like us lead. It's just opened up a different world for us through social media, through writing, and all types of creative things that we've been doing. You know what I mean? So This ain't new to us. We just true to it.
I love it. And you know what? We talked about it briefly last night. I was blessed also to be on Do It All, Dupre Kelly's album entitled Brenda's Son. And it's like a whole journey of his life. And it's, all positive and truth about growing up in the streets of Newark and, growing into politics and just life. And I was blessed to have a feature on the album, enemy versus enemy. And I'm doing positive affirmations on that. So it's so powerful that now Lena has hers. So what can you say to those that are considering or wanting to create an album? Because it doesn't matter what age you are, but if you could kind of walk our viewers through the steps, from the thought of it, because it all starts with the thought first. So from the thought of creating your album, what were the steps you took to now have a tangible finished product that is fantastic that so many people can listen to today?
So, you know what? This started because last year, every year annually for the last 4 years, speaking about Sharpen Minds, we've been able to further develop something called the Night of Empowerment. And I want to invite everybody this year, even your audience. It's in October. It's our annual fundraiser and ways to support all the initiatives and what we've been doing. It's a highlight of what we've been doing, and we highlight 5 community heroes every year, and it's great. So at this year's Night of Empowerment, the theme was 50 years of hip hop, because I am such a hip hop historian. I love hip hop. Hip hop gives me the energy to do everything that I've done. And it's just in me, right? So this year we had a big theme. People came out all dressed up, and we had a big, we were being streamed live. Big shout out to Reality 5 Media and everybody that came out this year. And Coach got on the microphone, and I have always been a rapper or like to rap since 11th grade, 10th grade, high school, like I said. But of course, in my house, education, you needed to get those degrees. So rapping is something that I can do, but I never made it a profession. Well, I thought about that, and I guess it's the believing in the timing of your life, which is one of the lines in my Positive Affirmations album. Believe in the timing of your life. The audience received it. About 200, 300 people received Coach jumping on that mic. They were so floored. Their mouths and tongues were hanging out. They couldn't believe that I had it going on. So I said, I'm going to take that and I'm going to wrap this up. And I immediately started writing these poems and getting back into those books. Remember, I told you when I was a youngster, and I just got back into it. And before you know it, I had about 10 affirmations written. So, of course, you're only as good as your team, and going back to the Inspire. So big shout out to Rose City Studios, where my classes are. I come into contact with all these great producers, engineers, and I said, check me out, y'all. So I ran into one of my great 6'6" producer, and I said, can you come over here? And most people don't have access, so God be the glory. I have access to all these wonderful creatives through coaching them in passing, them believing me, them being my clients, or just knowing me from being a community leader. When I ask them, people stop and they come and they do what I need them to do with no other questions asked, because they know we going from 100 to 200%. And I'll be doggone if this guy, producer 6'6", he is the bomb. Took me from 100 to 200%, because you got to have the right beats. You know what I mean? And I sat there and I took all my knowledge of music. Like you said, Mr. Mtume has been an influence of mine, and all those other people that you said. And guess what? I knew how to make an album and I didn't even know. That's why I tell people, believe in who you are. Through all the years of everything that I've been doing, I've been writing satires for people's lives for the last 20 years at the state of New Jersey. So when it came time to articulate those words that mean things and characteristics, I was able to sharpen up and be able to hone in on those, because every day I write in my professional life. Every day I speak to a bunch of people, trying to motivate them in the work, coaching people from the hardest points in their life. So I had the love and the passion all wrapped up in me, because I go through people at the worst points of their life, when their kids are removed from them, and trying to help them regroup so they can reunify back with them. So I knew I had the energy. So when I said believe in yourself, you got to be your own test person, right? You start believing yourself. Hey, you guys hang out with me long enough, you'll start believing you can do anything too.
That's and I swear you have inspired me, sis, because
I got out there
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Go
I
ahead.
got out there and I wrote it and I did it and it's well received and I knew it would be because when I heard that sound, people are floored. It does not sound amateur, even though this is my first time doing something like this.
Yeah.
The production, everybody around me is professionals in their field. So that's why we got a superb project, just like anything we do. Okay.
Yes, yes. You know what, Elena, it brings tears to my eyes, and it really inspires me as well to even push that side of me further. Because, like I said last night, I used to write poetry and sell my poetry and frame it up, and it just inspires me to even consider also or reconsidering making an album, something like that as well. So I'm super proud of you, and I'm telling you guys, when you listen to it, you will be touched and inspired. It has, like she said, that neo soul vibe. I felt Jill Scottish coming through, and but it ain't no Jill Scott. It's Coach Lena, and Coach Lena ripped it. So
you're gonna hear Coach Lena.
Yes, yes, yes. And
you guys see this? I invested in myself. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I get so hyped.
Oh, cute. Okay. Nice.
So this is the newest thing with technology. I wanted to bring this to your audience if they're not familiar. Coach Lena put you up on something. See that? So I wanted to go back because I come back from the era of CDs and tapes and records and everything. And with all this whole thing with the streamings, that's not enough for Black and brown people to make money all the time. And there's a side argument, and I've been listening to all the debates about streaming and things. So I decided to do something also. I decided to give people a chance to be able to hear this. And this is sometimes for promotional use when I have groups and stuff. I send this album. This is my full album. It's a tangible project. This is awesome. It's a USB. You can put it in your computers. This is the ride out. This is the wave. And it's a tangible way to make you feel like an artist again, because I think sometimes with the way social media and streaming goes, it doesn't make artists feel like artists anymore. So when I leave and I give this to people, or they go and they say they support this, now you can get this on all streaming platforms, but when I hand them this and they see this album and how much work we put into this project, they really do receive this. And this is something that I am very proud of. So whether I just use this in my workshops or it reaches people around the world, which I wish it would do, because this is healing music. We worked really hard at this project. I am very proud of my projects. So, I hope this can be an inspiration for other people who kind of got discouraged because they see their streaming and don't, it's quite complicated if it's brand new. If anybody would like, I will go on your audience and offer I have pro bono sessions to people who may be interested in doing something like this, but don't know the avenues to take. I'm willing to support their dreams because like I said, we rise by lifting others. And if I can do this, and at my age of 40, in my 40s, being able to do this, I know that I can inspire another person who probably said, this is past, I'm too old for this now, or whatever. Live out your dreams. Life is telling us that story. So, this is what this is all about. And, my life coaching came, and I just trust the timing of my life, divine timing.
Yes.
I look at Sister Coach Lena, your achievements and your roles. And you didn't do this line of work for these roles here. This is what the work that you have done, that you receive these honors. But I want to present this question because you talk about positive affirmations and how people can motivate and inspire through your work and believing in themselves. But I want to ask you, what strategies do you use to overcome challenges and setbacks? But I want you to talk a little bit about some challenges that you may have encountered in your life, or setbacks in your life that rocked you for a moment and you had to get your footing again. And because when you get that footing, now you have that experience. Now you become wiser because you now have gone through it. And now you can say, these are the strategies that I applied, and I can give you this as advice for you to help you get through any challenges or setbacks you may have gone through. Okay, are you able to list a couple of challenges or setbacks that you may have gone through, and what strategies you utilize to overcome those setbacks and challenges?
Well, of course, that's a great question. As usual, your line of question is just really, I know you do this to the realness because
Thank
your
you.
questions hone in on everything, and I really do like them. Um, well, as you guys said, I'm glad I had the opportunity to be set back early on in the game, because when I transitioned from college to the real world, it took me a moment because I was in the mind frame of an athlete and I didn't know about myself, and I kind of almost went in the wrong way, to the left of things, you know what I mean? And early on, when I had to transition from basketball to the social work field, it was hard for me because I started out my first job working a 3 to 11 shift at a group home for $9.75, and being paid. And I had a brand new Tahoe with TVs in the headrest, and I was living like a celebrity, playing basketball, and then to transition to working a 9 to 5 and being an everyday citizen and seeing what those trials and tribulations look like. I had to go back to the lab and to my inner strength. I literally had to move back home with my mom. And my mom said, you know what, Lena, everything takes time. And I'm glad she was able to give me that advice, because my mom worked 37 years at Johnson and Johnson, and she was a regular worker that worked her way up to be the plant manager. And the crazy thing about those times is that Black women weren't in those positions. My mom said through determination, consistency, and just using knowing right from wrong was her leverage. So those were the formula that I utilized, just and with everything that I've done up until now, being disciplined enough, using those same methodologies that I used in sports, being mentally tough because it was hard to transition to being a regular citizen. I had never paid to go out to nightclubs, and people were asking for autographs. And, even though we were women athletes and we weren't on the level of men athletes, I still dealt with a lot of, things that were provided for me. And to live those life and wait to get into a club, or just, not have certain things brought to us, that was a big transition. And I had to get out there, and I had to use those same mental toughness and inner strength to work. So I started that job at 3 to 11, and I saw younger people who were my age doing regular things, because all of my life I had lived an extraordinary life, traveling outside of the country since I was 10 years old, So I learned those lessons early on in life. I was quite discouraged when basketball didn't go my way. I had to sit and wait and formulate. I came back to my community, and sometimes you can get caught up in your community as well as just living that life as a ghetto superstar. And, but I always knew I wanted more. So I used that determination. A lot of us who are student athletes, if we don't go on to being professional, we often go back to our communities where we're well received, but we don't always end up being the best of the best, which we intended on being, So what I was able to do and take from my mom and my family members and people that continue to pour into me and encourage me, I was able to take that formula and say, I'm going to make myself out of something, no matter if it was sports. And my mom said, Lena, and people just started telling me basketball was just the stepping stone to your career. And then they gave me the encouragement to further go into the community. And my younger cousin, we used to sit on the couch and we started this company, and I just knew I had it in me to do something. But like I said, I took the same formula of discipline, going to find the information and kind of being fearless with regards to just further developing myself. God knows I was so scared when I joined groups, but just like sports, when you're good enough, people come and recruit you. And all my life, they've become to recruit me for local community boards. People find me to have a say in my community now. People are listening to my assessments and how to further develop people and coaching them and setting smart goals, staying specific, measurable, attainable, right? Reliable and timeliness for you.
Right.
So I use those same smart goals that I coach people with as my formula.
Beautiful, wonderful. That sounds so good. Thank you for that answer.
Yes. Coach Lena, wonderful. Like Brother Fatin said, we have somebody in the chat. Brother Timothy Melanson from New Orleans says, the brother song is fire, Coach Lena. He's loving that song.
Oh, thank you. I want to keep spreading and sharing that word. I'm telling you, brother will come back full. Our brothers need some love pumped into them, an IV drip. And that's what Coach Lena got for everybody. An IV drip of flavor, encouragement, self-worth, determination, all these great things. You know what I mean? I go back to what you said about my sister Jill Scott. She is smooth. And so she is one of my people that I look at. But I tried to stay in my lane because her words are from the heart. So when you see people moving and navigating around the building like that, I just take and I look at her her views and different things, and I just hope I could get into a space like a woman like that. You know what I mean? But I know that this is on me. So you know what I mean? So I just want your audience to keep pushing that. And brothers, we need brothers. We need brothers.
And you know, it's so funny. I was recently with Jill Scott, and she was, talking to my son, and she, held his hand and looked at him in his eyes, and tears just streamed from her face. And when she was telling my son and looking at me and saying how before he was born, I had all types of hopes and dreams and desires, for my unborn child. And then to watch him grow and manifest dreams and go beyond, and when she was talking to him, it just, I could tell he stood there very stoic, like a young man. I'm trying to keep a straight face. And for me as a mom, and then afterwards, after we had the conversation, she just hugged me and gave the biggest hug. And her words are so powerful and so heartfelt. And, that's just like you, Lena. And I love you so much. And I know your album is going to change the hearts and minds of so many around this world. So kudos to you, my sister. Yes, kudos to you. So another.
Come on with it. Come on with it. I just love you guys. You guys.
It's something about New Jersey. It's amazing. It's amazing to be from New York, and we all across the country, and people like Joe always talks about, and I got a chance, when just speaking with Isaac Hayes, people from all over this country do great things, but us New Yorkers, we get arrogant at times. We get arrogant. But when we start to look at different people coming from different places, we got beautiful, talented people from all over this country. So I'm not excluding anyone, but I think because New Jersey is just so close to New York, it gets overlooked. It gets overlooked for its culture. It gets overlooked for its art. We were talking to Mayor Ras Baraka yesterday. He's the mayor. He's running for governor. His father was the famous Amiri Baraka. You understand? Mtume came to New Jersey. It came under the tutelage of Amiri Baraka. And just looking, our sister Jax is in New Jersey. Coach Lena, you're from New Jersey. And I just look, you talk about Buster Soares, all these fabulous people and the work that comes out of New Jersey. And if you don't know Mtume's son, Brother Fa, he's walking in the footsteps, and I'm trying to get him on our show because when you heard Mtume, now you hear Mtume and his son Fa, and Fa Mtume. So it's just so much talent that comes out of New Jersey, and I think at times it gets overlooked by other people, especially us New Yorkers. But just the work that you do, Sister Lena, the work that Jax does, and the work that so many other people is doing and has done in New Jersey has paved the way for our culture to be as brilliant as it is today. So I applaud both of you sisters on the screen right now for the work that you all continue to do as life coaches, helping those that need help, motivating, inspiring those that are on the proper track. Because we can't forget, those that are on the proper track still needs inspiration and motivation because they can feel that they're not getting the attention that they need to continue to get the push and the pat on the back for them doing the right thing out there as well.
That's right. That's right. Thank you so much, Brother Vatine. And you are so right. So often Jersey is overlooked, but we are definitely a cornucopia of talent, a melting pot of talent. You know, Whitney Houston, you know, was here in Jersey, and I mean, so many other great.
A mother, Sissy Houston.
Exactly.
Can't forget New Jersey, the great Dionne Warwick. Come on,
right.
come with it.
That's family. That's family right there.
Absolutely.
I know. I love. Listen, on the last song, Layback Music, I give a shout out to the whole New Jersey in my own unique way. You ever heard the saying, if you make it in New Jersey, you can make it anywhere? Well, 2 weeks ago, I was in LA, and I'm telling you, people were like, where are you from? We are just determined, and just as determined and sometimes egotistical of those Harlem nights in New York. But you know what? Jersey is, I'm telling you, there's some wonderful places in New Jersey. It's a lot of culture here. Can I give a few shout outs to some of those people in New Jersey that are
shout them out?
Down? Rose City Studios. I'm telling you, Rose City Studios is a great place where young up and coming artists. It is a multiplex of where podcasting, studio, recording studios, engineers. It's the next up and coming thing. They've been in, some celebrities have been coming there. And like I said, these young guys, big shout out to Kellen and Rose City Studios, all that they're doing. My Inspire classes are there. We are just really changing the face of New Jersey and creatives. Big shout out to my Girl versus World crew. Keep putting love and donations back into the community, serving us well. Our team mom, Ms. Deb, who just holds us down. My director of community outreach, Larissa, director of business, Atiba, and business director, Janelle.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Let me just ask this real quick, Jax. You mentioned Girls versus World initiatives. Did you talk about that and what motivated you to create that initiative and what does it do?
I can. So Girl versus World was something that my cousin and I talked about. We were established in 2015, and it all started from a group of young ladies. You know how we all sit around and talk and things like that. So, of course, I'm a social worker, and one of my clients did not have a lot of feminine hygiene items. And just, you know, I felt really bad about, imagine not having those things that you need for something that you know is going to occur. And we ended up just sitting. So I took all my friends, and like I said, when people, you could have the worst people in the world, but I don't know what I do to people. They stand up straight when they come around me. So when I ask people for things, they really do take their best foot forward, and they really do push their best, and they get me these things. So I had so many women collect feminine hygiene items, and I started this program called Pocketbook Outreach, which is called the POP. And that's just filling gently used purses, and they happen to be designer because my friends were fabulous, okay? And they just so happened to hand out, and we filled them to the brim. 100 turned into 200, 200 turned into 3. Before you know it, people and their know-how and business partners and people in all different companies started sending it, and it got word to a local assemblywoman who wanted to know about this. And we to date have been able to hand out 5,000 bags to women, homeless women, domestic violence survivors, any women in need. And these pocketbooks were so welcome and well received. Imagine getting a real Dooney and Burke purse when you have just had a domestic violence incident. Don't you want to feel good with this purse? Go somewhere, you know what I mean? Let it be the topic of conversation. Often, so many times, people do not realize that we have these things that may not mean a lot to us, but it is the life of someone else. That purse can change somebody's mindset and have them feel self-confident. You know what I mean? In a room full of people that they don't know. So we started, that was our first initiative, the Pocketbook Outreach. Then came books and barbershops. And we got that from a local New York person, Alvin Irby, in the books and barbershops. So we wanted to lift literacy rates in Middlesex County. And it is an initiative where I'm the former vice chairman of the Middlesex County HASAC, Human Service Board, the youngest and only African American. I'm very proud of that. We were able to stimulate and put books into the local barbershops. Big shout out to New Trends, our flagship barbershops, that we give haircuts and have this huge event, Read Across America, every year, where we celebrate the kids and reading the books and give free haircuts and everything. So that ended up being our second initiative. Then we partnered with New Jersey Reentry. That's our former Governor McGreevey, who's the director of New Jersey Reentry. And we hosted our first event in New Brunswick at the Reentry site, helping people get jobs and writing resumes with my team and my directors, who are all professionals and their 9-to-5 jobs. So we're able to help people get jobs. So that made the newspaper, and people just kept coming to us for small things like help us, encourage us how to get jobs, and, dress for success and programs like that. So that started our third initiative. Then our fourth initiative was started at Girl vs. World, Women Helping Women, talking about emergent needs on the legislation table, women's rights, reproductive and emergent needs in our community where we needed to pay attention to. A lot of this was going on during George Floyd times as well, understanding where us as women and people who philanthropists, where we're steering our money and fundraising attitudes and things towards. So that was another initiative. And then our last initiative is, let's see, did I forget anything? I think that's all of them. The Pocketbook Outreach in Domestic Violence, where I go around to speak every October for Domestic Violence Month, encouraging women, literally going to people's homes, meeting them wherever they are, and trying to breathe a little bit of life into them, because, people have been going through some hard times and just need that pick me up, So just those, how the initiative started. We love support. We would love support from people in the community just to believe. We have gotten a lot of volunteers. We're going to be at Juneteenth in New Brunswick giving out. We're going to be hosting the 40+ Double Dutch contest, bringing wellness back, right? Where we reign supreme, right? You ever see us women jump that Double Dutch? That's a big thing in the community now. Okay.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
Nowadays, Lena, right? You got to hold on a little bit. Back in the day,
I get it.
Safety tight.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. They be doing that. And my cousin is part of that. And you mentioned, and you mentioned former New Jersey Governor McGreevey, and we've had him on the show. And that reentry is important. And I don't want to play politics.
And Lena and I are ambassadors for reentry, actually. Governor McGreevey's reentry program. Perfect.
That's perfect, because you are going to tie into something that I plan to do, and we'll talk about that later. But I I wasn't going to say this because I don't want to make this a political thing. But this is Coach Lena. Coach Lena is an example. I'm sorry to do this to you, my sister, but I have to. Coach Lena, Jax, Joe. This shows you the individuals that are in our community that are doing the things that you don't know of. You don't know of that they're doing the things. This is what I'm talking about, teaching instead of preaching to people. Some may get offended what I'm getting ready to say. I don't give a damn. That's who I am. What I'm saying is, what Coach Lena is saying is important to us as a community. And then when some of the folks on our Coach Lena on our chat, they want to talk politics, and they have a right. And that's what we do. We talk politics, and people have their opinions, and then there's facts and all that. The issue is, you ask us to believe in a party that don't talk to us. You ask us to believe in folks that don't do and back Coach Lena, that don't speak to that. Joe asked a question. Where was our vice president? I can go back to numerous times that some of the things Coach Lena has just talked about. Vice President Kamala Harris is the address. Biden's address. I'm not telling you who to vote for. What I'm saying is don't come at me and tell me to vote for somebody that don't support somebody like this, don't talk about this, don't understand it, and don't give a damn about it. That's what
brother,
I'm telling those folks there.
And brother Fatim, I completely agree with you. And many a times, like with Coach Lena is in her own lane, and Coach Lena is one of these doers. And that's what we need more in our community, the doers, not those who do it where look at me. No, Coach Lena is like, I'm doing it for you. I want you to be better. I want my community to be better. I want little girls to be better. I want Black and brown folks to be better. And you're right, brother Fatim. You're absolutely correct that there are too many times that those who are against us do not speak to that, nor do they want to even help Coach Lena in any shape, form, or fashion. And the sad thing, and I see we just lost Sister Jackson. Hopefully she'll come back. But the sad thing is, Coach Lena should be getting a overwhelming amount of government support from the federal, from the state, from the local level. And I'm pretty sure because I used to work in government. I understand that a lot of folks don't understand how hard it is for you just to get the resources you need in order to help the folks you're trying to help. That's why voting is so important. That's why your vote is your voice, and your voice has power, because who you vote in office, mind you, I hate to say it, and I'll say it, brother Fatim. If you vote Donald Trump in office, he'll probably try to cut every program that Coach Lena is doing. He'll probably try to cut every program that Coach Lena is doing. And that's where I am so upset with President Biden, with Vice President Kamala Harris, because y'all messaging got to be better. Y'all got to get out there and let folks know that y'all are the answer. This clown is not the answer.
Exactly. And when I went off camera just now, I just got a call from the U.S. Department of Education. So I have to call back to the White House to speak to the, I'll tell you her name. Her name is, we call her Sister Rowe, and she works with the Black media. And I'm going to mention Coach Lena. I'm going to mention what you do. Sister Jax, you're going to be tied into this, because we have to, if we have the ear of those that want us to do something for them, they got to do something for us. They got to get the messaging right. They need to understand and know the people that are doing these things in the community. I look back, it's not just the top political people. I look back at the former New Jersey Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver, and now we have a new Lieutenant Governor who you understand? But those are not just the only outreach. Yes, you can, on a federal level, you can reach out to them that will reach out to like Coach Lena and Sister Jax. But this is where you need to know who are doing these things in the community, because you want to know who is doing these things. So sometimes our job that have the air, as you say, Coach Lena, you knew the people through your outreach and through your walks of life to make these connections. So our job is to make these connections. But first of all, when we make these connections, we got to make these connections to people who want the connections to be made. That's the message that I'm trying to get to our folks in this chat, that there got to be the Democratic Party and all those are not perfect, and they can do better with messaging, and they can do better. But you got to be part of something that you have their ear and there's a door to walk through. Because if it's a brick wall and you can't walk through that door because those folks that are in that building don't want to talk to you, then why am I wasting my time with them? And that's all I'm going to say. That's all the politics I'm going to bring in.
So let me say this, Coach Lena, and watch this. I'm getting ready to change the narrative here. Here's a prime example of why we need to pay attention. In the news, Caitlin Clark did not make the Olympic team. I think that's wrong.
You think
I think that's wrong.
I don't think so.
I do. I do because guess what? Because if Caitlin Clark was balling like she was balling and she was black, we would be raising right hell right now. We would be like, hold it. You can't let this sister play on the Olympic team. So you got to look at rights right and right don't wrong nobody, brother Fatim. Because if Caitlin Clark was black and she was balling like she was balling and she didn't make the Olympic team, you would be raising hell right now.
We might be saying
raising hell right now.
We might be saying something, but what I've learned and listened to these other sisters in the WNBA is that they have, because first of all, giving kudos to what Caitlin Clark has done. So I think we should start there because, like my friend said, you know, black or white, we go back to Larry Bird, who was white and he came out, or before he came out, he had the championship games against Magic Johnson, and he can ball. And Caitlin plays the game. And not only possibly that I would say something, Joe, about if Caitlin was black, but I probably would still stand with the other WNBA women that have paved the way and have not gotten the accolades and have not gotten the justice and had to go through the disparities and the injustices there. So I think that now more spotlight is being put on the WNBA, rightfully so. It didn't just start with the WNBA. Those soccer women, I applaud those soccer women for standing up. Up and saying, look at the disparity. You go back to looking at the NCAA men and NCAA women and look at how their facilities were set up, how their food situation, the disparities in that. So what I'm saying is the point that you're making, I think that right now we have to spotlight because there was an injustice done to a lot of WNBA ball players that have paved the way and that is doing such a great job out here today. Mm-hmm. That they are getting the coverage and getting the recognition. Caitlin will get her just due, but those women that are on that team deserve to be on that team, and they put in their damn dues. And if I don't give a damn if Caitlin was black, sometimes you got to pay your dues at the end of the day. So she'll pay her dues. She'll probably be on the next time. But right now, because there's certain ball players that are not on the men's team for whatever the reason is. But those women in the WNBA have paid their dues that are on that team and are justified to be there. You can't sit there and say, and not to say Caitlin doesn't deserve to be on that team, but the women that are on that team have done the work. And I'm not going to put somebody that comes in as a rookie and is not putting the work like some of these women has done. No, I'm not going to do that.
I completely agree with you. With all the women on the team deserve to be on the team.
They deserve to be there, and that's it. I'm not going to make this more of a problem.
Hold it. And I completely agree that all the women that are on the team should be on the team. But I stand 10 toes down that if Caitlin was black and she did not make the team, you, my friend, would be raising holy hell.
Say something, but I understand.
No, you would be raising holy hell.
You see, again, everything is just not race, you know, and we got to look at it.
You, my friend, would be raising holy hell.
I probably would say something because I would still say something right now. Caitlin has good numbers to be on that team. But when you look at this team and you look at everything behind it, unfortunately, what has gone into this narrative, somebody has to stand up and stop this. Because if you continue to create this quote unquote white hope out here, and continue to get, I'm going to say it again. Nothing.
Hold it.
When you continue, let me finish my statement. And you want to counter it, you can counter it. But when you continue to create this, you got to look at what has been done. And you got to look, and just like we talk about affirmative action, you try to right a wrong. And the way the media has handled this, there was a great article out there about her fans out there. So we can sit here and debate that, but I don't want to turn this interview into that with Coach Lena because all the great things that Coach Lena has done. And I just think that that's another conversation if Coach Lena wants to add to that, but I don't want to take away from the spotlight that we're doing on this sister. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because it's not fair to Coach Lena, but if she wants to say something, but I don't want to do that today. Because we can do that another time. Because I'm spotlighting somebody that I don't know of, and I'm in awe. And that's what happens. Like Donald Trump sucks the air out of the room. Sometimes Caitlin Clark sucks the air out of the room, and I'm not allowing that. Excuse me, I was about to say sugar honey iced tea. That to happen on this interview today. I'm not allowing that to happen. Right. No.
So, Lena, I know we have to get ready to wrap up, and you have things to do. So, I have a quick question for you. So I know growing up how it can be getting teased, right? Sometimes teased for being so tall,
Yes.
sometimes teased for being so short, being so light, being so dark, being so fat, being so skinny. We get teased as kids, right? So I don't know if that, ever has happened to you growing up. But if it did or if it didn't, what could you share with our viewers who at some point, even at our age now, in our 40s, still struggle with believing in themselves and loving who they are and embracing everything about them, even if they were teased about it as a child? I know I was teased for sure growing up. But what, so
what was you teased about?
Oh my God. I was teased for being short. I was teased for being light skinned. I was teased for having freckles. I was teased for having knock knees. I was teased for a bunch of different stuff. Yeah,
they didn't realize the jewel that they were amongst. And my God,
maybe not. But I mean, and it's funny because I was teased on both ends. I was teased sometimes in my Black neighborhood where I grew up, but then eventually in the 4th grade, I went to the other side of town to a school where I was the only Black girl in the entire school, and there was only one Black boy when I started that school. So I would, somewhat get teased, in that capacity. But thank God I was always confident in who I was. I still remained who I was, and just it is what it is. Like I'm good, either way. So and then my faith in God is what helped to keep me grounded. So I didn't truly let it affect me. But for some people, the same thing I endured, some other people endured or even worse, and they're truly, affected and impacted to this day. Right. So I just want to ask Coach Lena, being that she's such a beautiful ray of light and joy and like blossoming so much, if she were teased as a child, how has she overcome it as an adult? Or what advice would you give as a life coach to be able to help some of our viewers who could be 60 years old still battling with self-esteem issues? What would you say, Coach?
Well, that's an awesome question. And you know what? That's something that you could deal with forever because it has to deal with the internal you. And I coach my clients in sometimes there's some spaces, and I know we heard our parents say, nobody's going to be with you when you go. And some you're born alone, die alone, and things like that. And sometimes that's the stark truth about some things that we don't want to hear. So, building self-esteem starts with your internal you. Oftentimes we allow people to take our self-esteem away by making us feel like we are not worthy, or they may have something above us, or not living life, and outside factors that take away our esteem. I couldn't help, I heard you say some of the things that you were teased about. You can't help your skin color. You can't help your height and your genetics. That's something that is I teach people now that is their unique ways. And those are the unique things that make us special today. So I almost take it back because I was 5'11" in 5th grade. So imagine how I was being teased and things like that. But in my house, of course, in the Black household, being laughed at and joked on is your first line of defense. So by the time I've been called every name, so by the time at the 6th kid, guess what? By the time they want to call me something, I laughed a little bit, but I was ever have the good comeback. So even with kids today that suffer from being bullied, that they call it, or being clowned, or, hyped on and things like that, I always feel like it's important to know who you are. And thank God for my family and my uncles and my sisters. They always my sister's friends, and I wish they were around. Some of them would say, I used to say, I'm so dark, I hate being Black. And at some point in my life, I didn't know that I was not the darkest, sometimes not even liking who I was. So now today, who I am, I purposefully love looking African and wear African clothes to show my unique who I am and make that a part of my everyday look, and don't go against the grain and go in the grain and uplift those unique things, showing sisters that, we can wear braids, and we can wear perms, and we can wear wraps, and we can wear makeup and lace fronts, but it's how you feel, and it comes from where you come from first. Find out what your family dynamic and how your family feel about it. And once that is discussed, go on to feel about how you feel about it, and speak to people who aren't important in your life. Something about self-esteem with people is just real important. You know what I mean? It's just real important about expressing your authentic yourself. And that's what I coach clients about. And I wrote my children's book about it. So, all the people who laughed at me, my mom said, you really did it. My childhood bully sold my book. That's how good it was. So wow. I really, you know what I mean? It's just coming full circle with that, and just embracing people who may not have had things in your life that you didn't know what was going on. A lot of the time, those people that made fun of you were very envious or just jealous of the things that you had or how you wore that. So we have to take those things into account and just, you know what, meet people for their unique strengths and who they are. You know, so it's really important to uplift people, sometimes touch people and just give them, embrace and hug them and let them know they're beautiful as well. I also give tidbits about, don't go with the trend, go with what looks good on you. Go
Yes.
with how you feel in your heart. You know what I mean? I'm notorious for that and those looks and things like that, and it often became a trend. So I just say go with what's in your heart, know that you are enough, and know that you have your purpose in life. And in your purpose in life is to further develop yourself. And you will make, what do you say, make your enemies your footstools by believing in yourself. I'm sure there's plenty of people who are upset today that I believe in myself and don't believe in, you know what I mean, in nonsense that they're trying to portray on me.
Amen, Lena. Beautiful words. I love that. I could say one trend I'm not a super fan of is some of these extra meaty sisters with the little belly shirts, with the high-waisted pants, with all the bottom gut hanging out. I mean, like, come on, sis, you're doing a little bit too much. But if it makes you feel good, that makes you feel good. But sometimes I'm like, come on. I remember back in the day, if you were a heavier girl, we tried to be a little more modest and not show the roll or the gut or the, love handles and stuff. These girls, they got the whole handlebars and the belly and everything out and don't care.
I'm all for I'm all for confidence in everything, but sometimes there's a right and a way and a way to do things, and that has to deal with the individual. So sometimes there's a such thing as having high self-esteem, and I love that. But you have to bring it back where it's not taking away from what you're trying to do. Sometimes you have to think about where you are and the situation that you are, and sometimes by wearing those things, you're taking away from the purpose or the event and making it more about you. So you have to be very cognizant and aware of those things, especially as a young lady. I am a tall 6-foot woman, so I'm very purposeful about what I wear and how I look nowadays. I often wear a lot of different styles, and I love vintage clothing, so I try to pride myself on that. But once again, going back to that family lifestyle, my mother was right.
Yes.
Let me just ask this question. I just want for folks to know how, because I was just trying to find your books, because when we have is Coach Lena. What are some of the names of your books, if you books out there, children's books, and what name is it under?
So my it's under Lena Whitehead, Lana Whitehead, Coach Lena Whitehead. My books are on Amazon. My books are on my website. It is Tall Tales, Little Lele. May have sold out on Amazon because that's another subject, how they do us as small businesses and how to get away with that. So I sell my own books. I'm often at bookstores and different things. Big shout out to Source of Knowledge bookstore in Newark. I'm going to reach out to them and see how I can get my children's book in their great establishment and other books. And we're in Philadelphia. So they can find me there. They can find me on my website at sharpenminds.com. They can Google us. They can send us messages at sharpenminds SHARPENMINDZ.com. All over. They can find my music under Coach Lena, and that is Positive Affirmations Volume 1 on all streaming platforms or wherever you listen to music, from Apple to Tidal to YouTube to Spotify. Also, you can find me Google. I will be at the Juneteenth Festival on June 22nd in New Brunswick, hosting that for our community. If you guys are thinking about me for anything, just find me. I love meeting people. I love greeting people. I love encouraging folks, young girls and boys that look like us, and people who are just interested in volunteering in their community and how much weight you can hold once you understand what is out there in your community, and help some of these local people, assess what is needed in all communities and cultures, not just one or one specific demographic. So I'm interested in that. And if anybody wants to know any more about Sharpen Minds, just look out for us. Say my
Yes.
name 3 times, I'll be there.
I see this picture on there. She does look kind of tall. I'm glad I'm tall, so she throwing heels. I don't have to look. I don't have to look up at her. I'm still,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, that's right. You know, I'm a shrimp next to Coach Lena. We always take our famous picture, Lena, with me in the front, and you always lean it down behind me in the back, and I'm like this tall, and she's like this tall.
Yes.
Yep.
I get it.
Pepper you to pepper to my salt.
Well, it is 6 minutes, 6 minutes to the top of the hour. And Coach Lena, we are so thankful that you have came on. And we don't want this to be your last time. So please promise me that we will see you again.
Thank you, Joe. I sure will. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys, hearing your insights, just following. And like I said, if I could be any help in any of the communities or anything that you guys, your trending topics, I will always share this show because it's emergent needs in our community and what we need to do, solutions being offered. And I really do appreciate that because sometimes people don't offer solutions, they just offer subject matter. And I really do appreciate how you guys are leaning, what I call leaning in on the communities and putting the local officials and on a larger scale other officials holding them, because it's no way, like brother said, you should know who Coach Lena is and what Sharpen Minds has been doing since we've been pouring all this money in, and it comes from the heart and has a demographic. I say this all the time, and you know, so anybody wanting to partner with us, we welcome all partners, but we mean business here.
That's
you
right.
know, we just don't put our name on a logo and just go out. We are in the community, grassroots, doing what we need to be done because we are a solution-based organization of women who have a dream. You know what I mean? And thank them for being on this journey with me, and thank you guys.
That's right.
She's standing on business.
Sitting on business. Both of them.
And she's standing and sitting on business.
That's right. Well, we thank you so much, Coach Lena. If you have any other last bit of advice or quick closing words for our audience, anything else you want to say in closing to empower and inspire? And I just posted your album once again.
I just want to say, okay. So thank you again. I'm sorry to cut you off. We rise by lifting others. I just want to say that. I want to give a big shout out to all my directors, and make no mistake that this is a team behind Coach Lena, and they are helping me live my dream. Everything takes a team to do. So big shout out to my core directors and people who volunteer. Thanks to people who are saying my names in a positive way when I'm not in the room, to let them know we mean business, standing or sitting. We can get the job done. Big shout out to New Direction and the Yes Conference in Pittsburgh, where we'll be handing. Those are Raz Baraka's people, the New Direction kids out of Newark, getting people together out of gang violence. So once again, a big shout out to my teammate Aaliyah Clark, who is their administrator, and Tut and the whole crew. They're doing well out there getting those kids together. So we're going to be working with them and partnering. So I look forward to that. Anybody want to find us? sharpenminds.com. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Coach. We love you much, and we can't wait to see you again.
Yeah. And Coach, before you go, it's something that I want to say real quick, so you just know about it, because this happened in Irvington. So just in case you have folks out there, because my brother Bashir Akinyele had us announce this yesterday. There will be a prayer vigil for healing and unity in the community today, June 10th, at 6 p.m. at 22nd Street and 19th Avenue in Irvington, New Jersey. The location is the area where an alleged sexual predator wreaked havoc upon the neighborhood by assaulting a little 11-year-old boy. So again, a prayer vigil for healing and unity in the community today at 6 p.m. at 22nd Street and 19th Avenue in Irvington, New Jersey. So if anybody that's watching this in New Jersey and that know where Irvington is right next door to Newark, if you can get out there and support the community, I want to put that out, especially with Coach Lena on here, because that's the work that we're talking about. And Bashir Akinyele's community leader out there. He was one of the co-founders of NAVOC out there. He's at Wequahic, teaching African-American histories, African-American studies, history at that high school. And we have to support the community. So I want to get that out as well. Okay.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that, Brother Fatin. I will be there.
All right. There you go, Sister Coach Lena. Thank you, my
Coach.
sister.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you all. Blessings.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. It was our pleasure.
Big shout out to New Jersey.
Woo! That's right.
I give y'all that one. I'm a Brooklyn guy, but I give y'all that one because y'all doing great work.
That's right. Michael Keith was in the chat. He was shouting out "Naughty by Nature," Queen Latifah, and Michael Keith going on and on. So thank you, my brother. Those are some of my favorite artists for sure, and from my hometown. And you know what? I'm so glad you brought up that prayer vigil, Brother Fatim, because one of my art therapy students called me the other day and was like, "Yo, Miss J," because he after we left the swimming, the CPR tryouts or whatever for the lifeguarding, he had to ride his bike to Irvington. And he called me the next day and was like, "Oh my God, Miss J, did you hear what just happened in Irvington? You know, this man, you know," and he started breaking it down about the kid. And it's disheartening. And it's scary for young boys and girls as well, who are just going through the neighborhood and hoping everything's okay. So what I had him do, I had him go on the website. It's called familywatchdog.us. So it's FAMILY watchdog, WATCHDOG.us. You can type in your home address or whatever address you want to type in, and it pops up all of the registered sex offenders. It even says their crimes, if it was rape, assault, battery, you know, whatever the crime was, and it shows their picture. So while we were on the phone, you know, while he was screen sharing with me and he was going through and clicking on, you know, sex offenders in his neighborhood, and some of them look like just a regular guy walking down the street, and some of them also look a little bit more menacing and a little you know, so you never know who is out there. It's not always somebody looking crazy. And many times they're also in your home. It's sometimes your uncle, your brother, your father, your auntie, mama.
Hold on, Jax.
Mm-hmm.
What was our former president found guilty of? Was that sexual? What was that?
Ooh.
It wasn't. It was sexual. What?
Mm-hmm.
So is he on this registry? That's what I'm see.
You never know.
I'm just asking. You know, it was sexual. What was it? It was sexual battery or something. Man, come on. See, that's all I gotta say, y'all.
Yes. So take a look at familywatchdog.us. You can stay abreast of it, because sometimes there might be people in your building who are, you know, registered sex offenders. And parents, we also have to stop letting our little kids, even in public places, stop letting them just walk off and go to the bathroom. You might be in a restaurant and just say, "Okay, go ahead to the bathroom." And maybe they're 6 years old or maybe 8 years old or even younger, and just letting our kids walk off. Or maybe you're at a track meet or, you know, something in the community at a festival, and you just let them run around wild and crazy, or just to be left unattended, because it takes a split second to change the trajectory of that child's life forever. So we have to do a better job as parents being vigilant. I was sharing with someone the other day. I used to do parent education for parents who lost custody of their children, and DYFS, or DCP&P, DCF, had removed the children from the home. So they would be court mandated to come to me to teach them parenting skills in hopes to regain custody of their children. And I mean, you know, this one mom like lost custody of all her kids, and, you know, part of her issue was, or the situation was, you know, she woke up and she goes in her daughter's room, and her boyfriend has, you know, his pants unzipped, you know, stuff is hanging out, underwear halfway down, and his hand was cupped up in her little girl's panties, you know, a little small girl in her panties. And so he was molesting a little girl. And, you know, it's just stuff like that happens too often. Sometimes we're too trusting. Like scripture says, prove a friend, right? We can't just jump in bed with brothers or sisters. We can't just be so quick to say, "Oh, my son's going to stay at my girlfriend's house," because guess what? Your girlfriend's mom, she might be a child molester also, or maybe your girlfriend is. So let's not be dismayed and think it's only men doing it to boys and to little girls. It's also women doing it to boys and little girls as well. So we have to be vigilant. We have to be careful. And if for whatever reason you have that demon on you of pornography or molestation, you know, you have to work to get that demon off and get that demon away from you, because you are destroying so many lives. I talk to celebrities, I talk to, you know, everyday people. And I mean, men and women, and they have all been touched by child molestation. And so often it's kept quiet, it's swept under the rug. People are become alcoholics, drug addicts, abusers of themselves and others, and they don't want to talk about it. But people are in pain. So we have to stop the lust, stop the disgust, and stop making all these poor choices that impact innocent people. So.
4 minutes past the top of the hour. We did a little overtime today. Been a great show. We thank Coach Lena for being in the building. And thank you for everybody who was in the chat, everybody who is every day faithfully rolling with us here at hashtag Truth Be Told. We will be back tomorrow in studio doing our thing. So, you know, the road show is still in full effect. But that's how we do. That's how we do, family. So tell a friend to tell a friend, share this with a friend. Speak about sharing stuff with a friend. Let me go ahead and share this. Let me share this. Let me share it, share it, share it. Let me share this with a friend so y'all know what time it is. Let me share this. Yeah. Hold on. Can I do that? Yeah, I can do that. Yes, I can. So just to let you know, the 2024 Essence Music Festival of Culture is coming to New Orleans 4th of July weekend. To be exact, this is Juneteenth weekend coming up. And Father's Day weekend. A lot of people ain't talking about Father's Day weekend coming up, but we're going to talk about that throughout this week. Father's Day weekend coming up, Juneteenth coming up, and the Essence Festival of Culture is coming up 4th of July weekend. We will be in the building. Yeah, hashtag Truth Be Told will be in the building. So if you want to be a part of what's going on with us, give us a reach out. Holla at us. That's what I got to say. Somebody give me some closing words. Let me see who I'm going to start with. Jax, give me some closing words.
An African proverb once said, if you want to go far, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So let's go together. Let's band together. You guys know I love you. If nobody told you they love you today, know that Jax loves you. Have a blessed day and be safe. See you guys tomorrow, Lord as well. Peace out.
That's good. And thank you, Jax. And thank you, Sister Jax. Oh, my God. Tremendous, tremendous, tremendous guest, my sister. Tremendous guest. I know we do this as a team, but I still give everybody the work that they put in. Thank you for that. And I want to keep our schedule free for Friday because we need to have a conversation about fathers, dads, and things like that. There's a brother reach out that created the Real Dads Network. They're celebrating an anniversary. I did an interview 2 weeks ago for them. I'm waiting for the link, but they had a big event I was invited to, but I just wasn't able to be at two events, one in the Carolinas and one in New York. But I'm going to reach out because my brother works in the school system, but I want to see if he can clear a schedule to join us this Friday morning as we start to take a look at fathers and dads as we go into the Father's Day weekend. I'm going to leave you with these words here. It's just going to be information today. I think what we discussed on this show and with Coach Lena and the questions and the responses, I think that speaks for itself in the chat. I'm just going to say, you know, it was unfortunate what happened with the whole Will Smith and Chris Rock situation. Will Smith was wrong for going up there slapping Chris Rock on that stage, and Chris Rock being from Brooklyn, he just held it back. You know, some people would have been tussling. And I hate it happened when Brother Packer was the producer, first Black producer of the Oscars that time, you know, and Will Smith had to deal with losing certain things. But Bad Boys is back. This weekend, they have grossed over $100 million at the movie theater. So kudos to Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. And what he did was wrong, but I didn't give up on him. And I'm glad the brother's back because he's done tremendous work out there. And just sometimes one thing should not just ruin your career. So I stand with my brother and I don't have a problem correcting him. The next one, Caitlin Clark, since Joe wanted to bring this up, let's go to Caitlin Clark. She addressed this whole snub heard around the world. And she said that she's totally cool with the choice, expressing her excitement for the players who did make the team. Clark said in part, I know it's the most competitive team in the world, and I know it could have gone either way, me being on the team or me not being on the team. I'm excited for them, gonna be rooting them on to win the goal. CC Clayton Clark adds, the Olympic squad's a long-term goal, so sounds like she got her sights set on 2028 out in Los Angeles. She probably will be, barring any type of injury and her consistent play, she'll be on the next team, and she'll probably do great things in the WNBA. So let's take the lead from her and root these other young ladies on to go and bring us the goal.
I like that. I like that. Be better today than you were yesterday. Do something today to help somebody in some way, some manner, some form that they have no earthly way that they can pay you back. And always, always remember that there is no secret, absolutely no secret what God can do. What he has done for others, he willingly can do for you. For when God is with you, nothing or no one can stand against you. We'll be back tomorrow for Tell the Truth Tuesday. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Hey, share this with a friend. It's hashtag truth be told, and we out. Peace.